Going to go live.
You're now streaming live on Facebook.
Not quite. It's setting up the meeting. It's redirecting. And now we are now live. Yay!
Bro.
Okay, that's good. So, are you in the group?
I'm just navigating towards the group as we speak.
You're navigating towards the group. So here we are. We were just talking about school dinners. Shall we relive the school dinner conversation?
Yeah. So tell us, Andy, tell us about your school dinners.
So we were talking about how packed lunches and hot dinners had to be in separate rooms. And I was on hot dinners. I loved the mint custard. I can't really remember much of the main meals, but the puddings were amazing.
Yeah, no, the puddings were always amazing. The main meals were nice as well. I mean, it was only as I was getting a bit older, and we started getting things like, you'd get something slightly fancier. So you might get like, a chicken leg with curry sauce and rice. And I'd be like, wow, this is fancy. This is.
We don't get this at home.
Yeah, we don't get this at home. But yeah, no, but I did for a long while. I went school dinners, sandwiches, and then I did have. But I like school dinners best because you always remember the dessert. You always remember chocolate concrete. Yeah. So if somebody mentions school dinners, everyone's got to mention chocolate concrete. That's what it was called in our school.
What's chocolate concrete? Like a brownie?
Like really thin chocolate flavored, really hard. It was like baked, really hard. That's chocolate concrete. Other people will have had it.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we had chocolate concrete. Semolina.
Yeah, I wasn't that fussed.
I like semolina. And yeah, definitely sponge and mint custard.
Oh no. Yeah, we never had mint custard.
Green custard. You never had mint custard?
No.
Oh, you've never lived.
It sounds like the kind of thing I'd really like.
Oh, it was? Well, I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
It was very lovely. Okie dokie. So we're about to go live with week 2. Have we got anybody who would like to give us a like or a comment and just let us know that you are there? That would be good. And if not, we'll crack on anyway.
We'll record anyway.
And you can get it on catch up.
Yep.
A bit like iPlayer, but without the expensive salaries. Okay. Yep. So I suppose the first thing to ask is where are you up to? So just as a bit of a recap, last week we did. This week is going to be about marketing and communications, and I did get my dates a bit all mixed up last week and thought there was 5 weeks in November, which there isn't. So we've merged marketing and communications today into one kind of brief overview with some homework, as you would expect. And last week, just to recap, we talked about audience and how finding your audience or trying to funnel down to your audience is important, the reasons why that's important, to be able to produce content that's relevant for that audience, etc. And homework last week was to go away and have a think about that. So if you have done that, I'd love to hear from you in the group, or if you're following the live, just drop us a message. And we'll get started on tonight's subject. Do you want to start, Neil?
No, you start.
Okay, so where to start? Marketing and communications is a huge topic area, and I mean, I did a business degree 20 years ago. and marketing was one module, which was 12 weeks, and it really only just scratched the surface, really. But there are some key principles that it's important to note, and some of those key principles have been around since the 60s and before. And you've got the likes of Peter Drucker and big organisational guys like that. Who what are you doing?
I'm eating a cake. Peter Drucker and the cakes.
I don't know that one. So yeah, Peter Drucker, organisational psychology, talks about marketing and the importance of it. So whenever you speak to anyone about marketing basics, they will often talk about, used to be the 5 Ps, but it's the 7 Ps now. They keep adding the Ps.
See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking you were going, oh yeah, the 7 Ps. And I was going, I'm sure it just used to be 5.
Yes, it did used to be just 5. Obviously, they've evolved.
Yeah.
and the last P is more of a F than a P, really. But anyway, so the 7 Ps are kind of the basics of marketing. So do you know what your product is? So if you're selling a thing, what is that thing? I imagine for most therapists, it's a service rather than a product. So it's an hour with you, or if you're a coach, the same thing, an hour with you. Now, you may have products, you may have courses or workshops or other things that you want to do. But this first P is about really nailing down what they are. What is it that you're selling? The next thing to consider is price. And I know lots of therapists particularly sometimes can have a bit of imposter syndrome around this. So, how can I charge this amount for my time? But what I'd recommend you do in this area, from a pure business point of view, is look at, well, how much are you running costs? How much have you paid out in training? How much is it costing you to run the business? That, even before you take an hourly rate out of it. And also to look at the rest of the market. So what's everyone else charging in your locality or in your specialised area? Because I think far too often we undervalue ourselves. And sometimes that's a sticking point for a customer. They might say, well, she's only charging 30 quid or 40 quid. What's wrong with her? Has she not got much experience or something like that? So price is really important. Promotion is around how are you gonna promote these products or services? So what channels are you going to use? Is it going to be online or offline marketing? And we'll talk more about that as we go through the weeks. The place, so where are you going to sell this stuff? Is it going to be on the website? Is it going to be mostly online? Are you going to go to events or exhibitions? Obviously not now during lockdown, but when we return to the real world, are you going to go to Tesco and pin up things on the board? That type of thing. The people who are involved in marketing. So primarily, if you're a sole trader, it's going to be you. If you're a sole trader who's looking to employ people in the future, it will be you and your team. So how do your people sell your product? When they answer the phone, do they answer it politely? Now that people getting a good customer services element, can people book on nice and easily, that type of thing. And that brings us, I think, process and physical evidence, the two new ones in this. But the processes are, if I want to book an appointment with you, can I book that appointment the same every time? Whether I go to the website or whether it's through a phone call, is it consistent? Do people know what they have to do? And finally, the physical evidence one is about how do you show up in the world? So do you have an office? Do you have a therapy room? Do you have a uniform? Have you got polo shirts with your logo on, or your husband got a fleece with your name on the back or something printed on your car? Have you got business cards? So what physical, tangible things have you got that your business exists? I'm just going to pause for effect there. And see if there's any questions.
Nope. No questions.
Okay, so we'll rattle on through. So I suppose the important thing with any marketing or communications part of the business is to understand what it is that you're trying to do.
What it is that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the hot air balloon analogy here, not only because I'm full of hot air, but I'll just get that in there before you do. But also that, you know, when you look at a hot air balloon, you look up, and that's, for me, is the, you know, is what happens with a goal is you kind of look to the sky and say, well, what is it we're trying to achieve here? And then in a big corporate business, you'd have your goal, your vision, your mission, your strategy, and your action plan. And I think, you know, you can kind of get bogged down in the bureaucracy of all of that. I think the two really important ones for me are the goal and the action plan. So what is it that you're trying to achieve, and how are you going to do it? And we'll, you know, we can work on the others later. What do you say, Neil?
I say I agree with you. Yeah, no, I think that sometimes I know from experience that people can get very bogged down in, you know, writing their vision, writing their mission, writing their strategy. And I know that you know, clients often spend a lot of time doing all of the thinking and the writing and the kind of doing all of that, and you're kind of going, yeah, but you've just missed Christmas. You know, that could have been like an enormous sales opportunity for you. You've just missed that, and you could have achieved it just by going, I know where is it, you know, I know the direction I'm heading in, and this is my action plan, which is going to get me through this particular period, and then I'm going to review my action plan.
Yeah. And I think it's all about being pragmatic, you know.
Yeah.
If you're, you know, sole trader, self-employed, you've got to be doing things that bring the money in. You know, we've got to be realistic. The rent has to be paid, and all those other bills. So yes, it's good to kind of step out of that day-to-day work and have a little bit of thinking time. But then it's a case of, right, so how are we going to do it? Let's crack on. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with this mnemonic for setting a goal. So when we talk about setting goals, we want them to be SMART. So that means something specific, something measurable, something attainable, so that we're not, you know, aiming to take over the world in the next week. Something relevant, and something time bound. And I don't know about you guys, I've got some really bad memories of SMART goals on performance appraisals and all types of things like that. But these are your goals. You know, you can decide what they are. You can decide what language you use in them. And the most important thing is that they've got meaning for you, you know?
Yeah, I always struggle with SMART. Just trying to remember what it is that each one actually stands for. But yes, always put the teeth back in. Yeah, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. Yeah.
Yeah, time bound or time based. You know, there's always there's someone who's got a slightly different, but it's the same. It's the same thing basically. Again, just narrow it down. What is it you're going to do by when?
Mm-hmm.
So some goal examples for you. Just might be. Well, I want to reduce my business expenses. So it could be that you're doing face-to-face therapy at the moment. It's a bad example, but you could be doing face-to-face therapy at the moment and you want to go online. So you're going to reduce your business expenses by not hiring a room to rent, or, you know, doing something like that. It could be that you want to hire your first employee. So you want to have your books full and a waiting list because you're going to bring someone else on. It could be that you're going to increase traffic on your business website or blog, and you might want to put some advertising on to get some income from that. You might want to create a new product, and we talked earlier about, you know, writing a course or doing a workshop or doing group therapy, or any of those types of things, like a second stream of income.
Yeah.
And you can, the last two about increasing social media marketing, or just improving the profit status of your business, like just making it a bit more buoyant. So these are examples, and I'm sure you've got your own. These are examples of goals that you could have. So, my goal is to earn £2,000 a year. Not a year, that would be bad. £2,000 a month from private practice. And I have a dashboard which tells me how I'm doing on that basis. So I know how many appointments a week I need to have to hit that goal. So just even by putting a goal in place makes me more focused.
Hi, Marion. Hopefully you're watching the same time that you're posting. And hi, Cynthia. I was going to say, just on the kind of like, creating new product for me personally, as within my kind of business practice, it was, so I was busy building websites for people, and and this was kind of like a big mistake that I've made over the past X number of years that I've been building websites for people, is that what I was doing was I was building websites for people, and I was getting those websites, they were being hosted elsewhere. So I was going to say GoDaddy or somewhere like that, and they were being hosted on there over there. And it wasn't until late, I'd been up until maybe say about 3 years ago, I suddenly went, well, why am I doing that? Why am I not incorporating that into my own business practice, so that now I'm building websites for people and hosting their websites for them also, so that there is that kind of little bit of residual income from them.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking a bit differently about the work that you're doing and what else can you sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is something that's that is not static. It's not, we don't set a goal and write a marketing plan and that's it. We've done it once. It is same with a website. We are continually revisiting what we're doing. We're continually adapting to our environment. So, when the pandemic happened, many therapists went from working face to face to working online. That as a result of the external environment, we're doing it all the time. So it's going to be flexi-bendy in how we do things, but to kind of travel in the right direction. And if anyone wants any more information about Neil's hosting platform, please do let us know. I can vouch for it. I host all my websites on it. It's very good. So next we're going to talk about getting your little ducks in a row. And the reason there are 7 ducks is that the number 7 is quite important in marketing. Unfortunately, when you're putting your product or your service out there are thousands of other people doing the same thing. So you've got this audience, this client base that you want to attract, and lots of other people are trying to attract them too. And so there's a marketing rule of 7 that states that a prospect, somebody that we want to become a customer, needs to hear the advertiser's message at least 7 times. So if you think about that, an example is, so I go on Amazon and I look at an Echo Dot, let's say, for example, and then I come off Amazon and I go to Facebook, and on Facebook an advert for an Amazon Echo Dot appears, and then I go to another site and I see an advert for a dress I was looking at yesterday, because these cookies are clever things and they follow you around the internet. And actually what that's doing is just dropping that into your subconscious at many levels, so that you get to a point of going, oh, I am going to buy myself that dress, or I am going to buy myself that Echo Dot. And if you think about how often we get bombarded by advertisements, like You know, if you're watching a TV program, an hour-long TV program, there's probably 30 businesses who've got your attention at some point. We're not even talking about product placement in the program itself, but we're talking about the advertisements. You know, if you've got Sky, you can fast forward, but you still see them and they know you're fast forwarding. Sometimes, you know, they start putting subliminal messages in. It's very, very clever. So you've got TV advertising, you've got radio advertising, you're driving along, you're seeing billboards, got newspaper advertising, anything, you know, even emails have all got little adverts sometimes in the signatures of emails and things like that. Buy this, do this. So you think about how often businesses try and get to us, and then match that with how many times are you telling your customers about your services. I know I'm not great at it, so I'll post in a group and say, oh, you know, I've got this free sleep meditation, for example, and then I won't post again for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So it's like I've got a great product, but I've only told them about it once, and so what am I expecting to achieve from that?
Mm-hmm.
So Neil, in your world of Ignite and this kind of the event,
yeah,
how does that play out?
So I think one of the so just for everybody else, so one of the events that that Mandy and I have deliver together at times when Mandy's there is, so it's we do this event, or I do this event called Ignite Liverpool. I don't have so we do this event. So Ignite Liverpool is an event where people can get up and they can talk about their project, or they can talk about something that they're passionate about, and they get up and they share their passion for 5 minutes. They have to do a PowerPoint presentation and stand up on stage, and it can be a little bit like stand-up comedy at times. Some of them are very, some of them are funny, some of them are sad, some of them are very moving. But they're great. So anyway, that's what we do. So as an event, in order to put this event on, we have to attract speakers to the event, but we've also got to attract an audience to the event. So the kinds of things that we do is we have, just as some examples, we produce leaflets, and we distribute the leaflets. We produce posters, and we put posters up about it. We produce, we have all of the social media activity, the kind of the Twitter, Facebook and Instagram posts. And then we've got the mailing list for it. And so if we're looking for an audience, you know, we use all of those. And if we're looking for speakers, we use all of those also. But over and above that, well, especially for speakers, what we do is we go out and we ask people to be an ambassador for Ignite, and we say, you know, who do you know that would be interested or that would give a good talk, and then, you know, they get introduced to us. But once they've been introduced to us, there's a process for them to go through. So they go through that process of they've found out and they want to give a talk. They visit the Ignite Liverpool website, and it asks them to fill out a form to be a speaker, and they fill out a form, and that form, all that information just gets sent straight to me, goes into a spreadsheet, and then I can start working on that and email, you know, replying to them, and just kind of, you know, acting as a kind of introduction. Thanks very much for your submission, etc. So there's lots of different ways that you can and lots of different methods that you can use for getting your message out. And then once you've got your message out, it's how is it that you can make it easier for yourself so that you're not having to do, you know, lots of emails to people to confirm this. You're not having to, you know, write down lots of information. The thing to do is to capture the information from them once, and then just reproduce that information. So the information that they put into the form on the website, that's the kind of information which I just copy and paste from the form that they've filled in. I copy and paste that, and I put it into the promotional material that is going out about the event. So it just to streamline everything as quickly as and as easily as you can do. I've gone into process, haven't I?
Yeah, a little bit. Can you hear my dogs making noises in the background?
I could do then, yeah.
Okay. I think it's only when I talk you can hear them. They just decided to have a big, like, fluff fight.
All right. I couldn't do while I was talking.
No, that's good. I put myself on mute at one point. So if you, anyway. So one of the other kind of foundational principles of marketing is AIDA, which Neil thought was a great opera, but aria, that's aria, isn't it? Not AIDA. Anyway, yeah, we digress. So basically, what we've got to do, or what we've got to try and do, is to get the attention of our potential clients. Once we've got their attention, we want them to move through this cycle of, we've got their attention, how are we going to get them interested? How do we get them to the point of desiring this product or service that we're offering? And then how do we get them to take action? And so if I use the example of setting up this group, I could say that to get people's attention, I posted about it in Facebook groups. If anybody asked any questions about, if any therapist asked any questions about websites, I would respond to them. So I'll try and make myself an authority on the subject. Not try and make myself. Yeah, build a reputation for having knowledge in this area. And so I'd post in groups, and then once I'd decided to kind of offer something, then I could put something out there that would create some interest. So, oh right, okay, I'm running this course, or I'm running this program, whatever you want to call it. And so if you think about you as a client, so what you did was you saw a link in a Facebook group, you thought, that's quite interesting. You probably clicked on the link and went to the landing page, and then you made a decision. So I know 100 people, I got 100 people's attention. So 100 people clicked on the link and went to the landing page. And then at the landing page, 70 of those people dropped off. So for whatever reason, they decided, maybe it's not for me, maybe I can't do Wednesday nights, maybe, whatever the reason was. But 30 people had enough interest to give me their email address. So they then kind of funnel down from the 100, we've now gone to 30. And of those 30 people, when I sent them an email saying, here's the group, this is what this is about, 20 people joined the group. So we've gone from 100 down to 30, down to 20. And then what we can see is when the lives happen, last week, we had 5 people at the live. So out of 100 people, which is not bad, it's not a bad percentage actually, out of 100 people, 5 people actually turned up. And I know other people jumped on later and things like that. So you can see that this cycle is really important. And it also depends what you're selling as well, because I don't know, if I was going to sell a $4.99 dog grooming comb, which I'm getting spammed with adverts about at the moment because I've obviously talked about my dog too much on Facebook, then I want them to move really quickly from attention to action. I want them to just buy it because it's only a £5, and whereas if I was selling someone a £500,000 house, I'm going to invest a lot more in getting their attention, getting their interest, and getting their desire. It's going to be a much bigger funnel. I'm going to spend more on advertising because it's a more expensive product. And a lot of marketing is just about trust. So as a therapist particularly, in getting their attention and getting their interest and getting them to desire to change, because that's effectively why people go to a therapist, is that they're not happy with the status quo. So, this might be a slow burn for some people. It's not always, I haven't done the research on it, but I'm going to say off the top of my head, I don't think people think, I need a therapist now, I'm going to find one now and book a session for the next day. I think it's much more a process of, I need a therapist. I might ask around, I might get some word of mouth referrals, I might look on some directories, I might not. but it's a longer lead-in time than the dog grooming comb, for example. Wouldn't you say?
Yep, I would.
The other important thing to note here is that you know, we talk about kind of basic marketing as in, you know, newspapers and online and offline and everything else, but one of the most underrated modes of marketing, really, or you might call it public relations, but it's all the same thing, is using our own networks. So you know, Facebook group, the Good Enough Counsellors Facebook group has got 5,000 therapists in it, for example. So are we reaching out to people in that group and saying, I have this product, or I'm a specialist in eating disorders or trauma or whatever it is that you're a specialist in? Are we putting ourselves out there, and so not just to a client base on our own Facebook pages, but in the network of other therapists in the UK to say, this is what I'm good at, this is my product, this is what I'm doing. And of course, all of that builds our audience as well. Okay. So, so what we're going to do is start the journey. And this is really kind of thinking about our customers' journey, like how do they get to us, but also what do we need to do to make that happen. So we talked before about having a goal, and I hope that you've, you know, maybe had some thoughts about that. But what we want to focus on now is, what's the action plan? What does that look like? So it may be, you know, you might not have a solid goal. We've only been talking about this for half an hour. So you might not have a solid goal yet. You can go away and have a think about that. But when you do have a goal, what actions are you going to take to step towards that goal? And so we're going to keep this really simple and say the three things to consider are, what's the action? What's the time frame? And what are the issues to note? So if I said my plan is to post on Facebook, then I would say, okay, I'm going to post twice a week for 8 weeks. And the issues to note might be, well, can I use a scheduler to help me do that? Or can I use the business Facebook page? Or, you know, are there tools that can help me do that? Or are there other people if you're able to delegate? Another action might be knowing that we're going to be looking at, you know, getting websites live. An action might be, I need to finalize my logo, or I need to get a logo started. And a time frame for that might be more specific, 13th of November, 5 o'clock, because I want it by then because I want to do something with it the week after. And then an issue to note might be, well, do I need a printer? Am I doing business cards? Am I having physical evidence of this? Am I having leaflets? Do I need something, you know, apart from either going on Canva and designing my own? Do I need to find a product to help me do this? Or am I going to go on Fiverr and pay someone 20 quid to do this for me? You know, what steps do I need to take to get towards that? Do you have any steps on your marketing plan, Neil?
No.
I have one that I've been avoiding all day.
Which is?
I need to record a 15-minute sleep meditation. So I've put a landing page out there to try and gauge interest, and I've had only one subscriber so far, but I've only posted it in one group so far. And the offer was a free sleep meditation, and I haven't yet recorded the free sleep meditation. So that's my action for this week, is to do the sleep meditation before the end of Friday, get it on the website ready for download. And the only issues to note are my procrastination. That's the only thing that's getting in the way.
So while you're talking about Facebook groups, Marion was asking what the Facebook group was. I'm assuming that's because at the moment we're live streaming this into the Build a Website in 10 Easier Steps, and that's one Facebook group, Marion. But then also, Mandy, you were talking about a particular Facebook group that you belong to.
Well, I'm in lots of Facebook groups, but particularly from a therapist's point of view, you know, you've got Good Enough Counsellors, which has got over 5,000 UK therapists in it. You've got the Online Therapist Group, which is a global one, which I think has over 12,000 members. There's Counsellors Staff Room, which is another a UK counsellors one. There's one that's particularly around private practice, setting yourself up in private practice. So I'd say there's probably 8 or 9 good Facebook groups that I'm a part of that are really supportive and really helpful in and there's also counselling tutor ones for counselling students and things like that. But they're really good, for sounding things out with people, but also, like I say, for building your referral network as well. You know, a lot of people, I've seen quite a few posts this week where people have said, I'm full, do I put people on a waiting list or do I refer out? Does anyone in Devon specialise in eating disorders, or does anyone in Lancashire specialise in trauma? So, you know, keeping active on those groups as well will help you to find your audiences, even if it is other therapists who can then recommend you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, there's a particular Facebook group that that I'm a member of. Again, that's like a closed group, and it's for a particular arm of the work that I do. Particular arm of the work that I do, but I find it enormously, the people that there's must be like many hundreds of people in this Facebook group, but it's very supportive of everybody else's work. Everybody, I suppose, in some way or other, you know, is competition for other people in that group, but they are really supportive, and people will go in there and ask all sorts of different questions, even very basic questions. And, you know, just saying, I'm just starting out, I need some help and advice on X or Y, you know, can anybody advise me on it? And there's, I mean, there's some really useful information in there, you know, and some real resources within that group. And so it's really good to belong to a group where you can go, I don't know the answer to this question, or I'm looking for these resources. I'll go in, you know, go in there, download the resources, or ask a question. So yeah, really worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. So I've lost the plot now. So it's kind of over to you at this stage. So the homework for this week is to think about the goal of your business. What is it that you want to do? So, like mine, I want to earn £2,000 a month by private practice hours, and I want to do that before next summer. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's time bound, and it's relevant to me anyway. So think about your goal, and then have a think about developing your marketing plan. This does not need to be complicated. You know, we're talking about an A4 piece of paper, and it could be 3 or 4 things just to get you going. What I will do is send out a template via email, probably tomorrow or Friday, just to give you something to kind of get cracking on. But we're just going to use that framework of what's the action, what's the time scale, and what do you need to consider. That consideration might be, where do I get support for this? And I'd encourage you to come back to the page, ask questions, drop us a line. You know, we're keen to try and help as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, have you got any questions? I think we've picked up on comments, any that's come up. Marion's asked Neil about the platform, about Mello. I don't know whether you want to just say a little bit about that.
It's Marion, I'll reply to you later. I'll reply in the group, and I'll put a link into the website as well. And you can always just message me and just feel free to ask questions there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say a little bit about it then, because Neil's being shy. So So Mellow Hosts is based in Liverpool. It's basically a service that, so you can go to GoDaddy, to Wix, to many different platforms, 123 Reg, there's hundreds of them. And so we're going to get into all the technical gubbins now, aren't we? So basically, when you set up a website, you need a domain name, you need somewhere for it to live, you need to host it somewhere. You can have an email if you want it to, and you need to design the website. And so what Mellow Host does is offer hosting and offer domain names at very, very reasonable prices. So it's mostly WordPress focused, if that's your thing, and we'll get more into the technical gubbins as we go through this. But just to give you an idea, you can get a startup package on Mellow Hosts for £3 a month, or the next one up is £8 a month. So it's very, very reasonably priced. It's incredibly resilient. And what I mean by that is, in an IT technical term, is it's up, it's live, the servers aren't falling over, the websites are, the websites that you build are solid. So you can go and have a look at the page, although I'd say it's not very non-techie friendly. I would say that. But you can also talk to Neil about it, and he'll talk you all through it. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else to add, Neil?
Nope, that's fine. You sing for me. So I'll just sit here.
Well, that was a fair appraisal, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we forgot to mention the elevator pitches.
The elevator pitches for what?
Yeah, the talking about your business in 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's kind of a physical representation thing, isn't it, from the marketing point of view? So yes, as well as your business cards and adverts and everything else, are you selling it in the conversations that you're having? Are you selling it? Are you dropping it in there? Even to the point of annoying your family members because you don't shut up about it. Okay. So we're going to leave it there for week 2, and we will look forward to seeing you on, I can't believe it's the middle of November already, seeing you next week at the same time, and
18th of November.
18th of November, and I'm just trying to think what the topic is, and I can't think. So yeah, so we'll see you next week, and it will be as much a surprise to you as it is to me.
We'll post about it.
Yeah, we'll put it on the group. Okay, so goodbye for now, and I need to find my button to get off, and we'll see you next week.